What's up everybody, it's Joe here with Joseph Blake Photography, and in today's video we're going to be taking a close look at another inexpensive kind of budget carbon fiber tripod that really stacks up pretty well against the Peak Design travel tripod, both in aluminum and carbon fiber. I've done videos about this before on the channel, but I wanted to give you an in-depth look at the Neweer LT32. Let's take a look. So in this channel, we talk a lot about value and how important it is that even though you can spend a lot of money on something, it's got to be worth it. And sometimes there are things that you don't spend a lot of money on that also can be very much worth it. Now, I did a video a couple of years back about a carbon fiber tripod that I bought instead of buying the Peak Design tripod. Now, if you're not familiar with the Peak Design tripod, it is a very popular, very well-engineered and well-designed carbon fiber and aluminum tripod that has some really fantastic features. It's been in the market for a couple of years now, but it's very expensive. And honestly, for me, out of my budget for what I was looking for at the time. And I was recently on a trip to Lake Tahoe, and unfortunately, I broke the tripod that I normally use. So when we're talking about any product, we're talking about value, we're talking about quality, and we're talking about features. And one of the things that Peak Design did really well was they brought a lot of features to the table that a lot of photographers and videographers really liked, and traveling photographers especially, because their tripods were small, they were lightweight, and they added a lot of features that we had been kind of hoping and waiting for. Now, for photographers like myself, it was just somewhat cost prohibitive to have something that was $300+ in their aluminum version and $600 for their carbon fiber version. But a number of other companies have kind of swooped in and added some of those similar features, and Neweer is one of them. I've had my eye on these tripods for a little bit, and I finally pulled the trigger. I want to make it very clear, this was not sent to me. I have a lot of Neweer gear, and this I paid for with my own money after doing quite a bit of research. I still love my Saru teeny tiny ultralight travel tripod, but it just doesn't have the features that this one does, and this one isn't considerably larger, wasn't more expensive, and not a lot heavier. Now, one area where this tripod is a little bit different than the Peak Design is that its legs are round. They are not tetrahedron, whatever that shape is. They are just standard round legs. It doesn't pack down as tightly, but it still fits just perfectly fine into the side pouch of the Peak Design travel bag. But it makes it cheaper because it's easier to design and build these. But here's the one feature that honestly had me wanting this so much, and that is the legs and the fact that you can just open them with these clasps. A lot of the more inexpensive budget-friendly tripods that you'll find that are carbon fiber are twist locks. I had a hard time with them, honestly, and this has just been a huge change for me in terms of getting ready, getting out, getting set up for a shot, especially if you are in an environment where you might be fighting the light, fighting the conditions, and speed is of the essence, whether you're trying to catch wildlife or, in some of my cases, landscapes like sunsets and sunrises. The other thing about this particular tripod, as far as its legs are concerned, as you can see, it comes out to about mid-chest for me. I'm about 6'1", so this is a moderate height, but the center column is very tall, and it actually comes up to almost about eye level.
Are you taking YouTube?
I am, yes. So even once I level it with the legs here, like I've got right now, still very tall for me. I can still shoot perfectly comfortably. Whereas with the Saru tripod, which again, I love that tripod, it is very small and really comes up to about here. And you can see in some of my videos where I'm kind of crouched down to get the shot. So even relatively leveled out, it's still quite tall, and I can go ahead and throw the R5 on here really simply. And that's it. That's another feature that they included that is similar to what you have on the Peak Design tripod, which is that if you have a compatible Arca Swiss plate on your camera or on your zoom lens, you'll be able to just click it right on, and it is in place, and there is a lock that keeps you from being able to push the button. You can't get this off. But if I undo the lock and then push the button, camera comes right off. So now once your camera's on the tripod, what kind of flexibility do you have with it? It just has this quick release little lever here, and then I have full rotation control of the camera to get it level, and that's in a landscape configuration. So I can just go ahead and level it out, close it, and it's done. And this feels very solid. I'm not worried about it moving or anything like that. And this is where really my one gripe with this tripod comes in. I want to be honest with you. This is the one thing that I really do not like about this tripod, but it hasn't really hurt me yet. And that is that when you release it here and you go to put it in, so while you're moving it around, if you decide to move it into portrait view like so, you are locked 90 degrees to the column, which means that once you close that clasp, you cannot rotate the camera up or down. So for landscape photographers who might want to change their composition this way, you just can't. It just doesn't move. You also cannot pan while it's in this mode. It is locked to this mode. Now, there is one alternative way to pan it, which is to unlock the center column, and then you can turn it this way. I wouldn't recommend that because you're more likely to just kind of drop the camera down the column or lose height, which is going to mess up your composition anyway. Also, the column moves a little bit as you tighten it. So that's one area where I would definitely say that as a landscape photographer, if you do a lot of portrait landscapes, this would be an issue. But there is one solution to that. So one potential solution is that you keep it in this orientation and keep it balanced, but you shoot with a cage on your camera. A lot of landscape photographers shoot this way. If you have a cage or an L bracket on your camera with an Arca Swiss compatible mount, you could easily put one of these mounts on there and just switch it, and you'd be right like that or like this, depending on how you have it configured. So now, if you're someone who carries around some of your gear in a Peak Design bag, or if you are a fan of the Peak Design camera mounting system like I am, this is the V3 mount. These Arca Swiss compatible plates that come with this tripod are compatible with the PD version 3 camera mounting system. And it's not just compatible, you can actually get a bunch of these and they're relatively inexpensive and they are fully compatible. Honestly, I couldn't tell you right now if this one is I have a Peak Design one on here now, and on the camera that I'm filming on right now, I have the newer version of the plate. All of my gear is Arca Swiss, and I've now converted them all to either the Peak Design plate or the newer plate, and I've got them fully interchangeable. Now, if we take a closer look at kind of the middle of the column here, I want to point out just a few things. Number one, the column itself is tightened up by this little twist. So if you just untwist here, it slides down. It's not the smoothest in the world, honestly, but it works just as well as I would need it to. And you'll see that there is a hook here down in the middle of the column for adding weight. And this does come off like so, and it comes with a little Allen tool. And everything on the tripod is the same size. One other area where the design is just rather simple here is in these kind of leg clasps here. You do just kind of, they're just tension, right? Nothing too sophisticated. And then they snap back into place once you put them back to where they go. Also, something I want to point out is that there is a thread mount here. I've never used it, but I could definitely see putting something on here like a monitor. Now, I did mention that this is kind of a custom type of thing, and there are some things that I don't absolutely love about it. But thus far, it's done pretty well for me. But you might have your own head that you really want to put on here. Well, this comes off. And then they actually give you another head to put a regular, I think it's a 1/4 inch. This is a 1/4 inch here. You can adapt this. So really you can do really whatever you want with it. Right back on like this. So as you know, the number one reason normally that I want to have a carbon fiber tripod available is to take it on adventure trips with me to travel with, and which means that the weight on this is key. So let's break it down. And while I'm breaking this down, I'm going to throw the weight on the screen. And as you can see, the process of breaking this thing down compared to some of my other cinch-based tripods is pretty, well, it's a lot. This is so easy. fits in the pocket, and then you're good to go. So I mentioned at the top of the video that I bought this tripod with my own money. So I mentioned at the top of the video that I did buy this with my own money. This was a choice that I made. I did the research, and this was the tripod that met my needs. This is the LT32. It was formerly the LT62 because it does go up to 62 inches in height. It does pack down to 17 inches, which is about 4 inches longer than my Saru tripod, but that one's only, I think, 58 inches. It's definitely a shorter tripod. This one comes in weight-wise at 2.6 pounds, which is about a half a pound heavier than my Saru tripod. It has a 22-pound load capacity, which is more than double that tripod. So I feel totally comfortable throwing either of my two mirrorless cameras, any of my lenses, even my long lens, and it'll do just fine. It's been super, super sturdy. Now, I paid $249 for this, which is less than the aluminum version of the Peak Design tripod. But right now, just looking on Amazon today, it's $189, and there's a $20 coupon. So I would bring it down to $169, and that is a crazy good deal for a tripod like this, for this kind of quality. I did reach out to Neewer to ask them if they'd be interested in a collaboration, and they said no. They said, no, thank you. That's okay. That didn't hurt my feelings. But in the process of purchasing this for myself, which I was planning to do already, as well as getting it and beginning the process of reviewing it and using it pretty consistently, they actually reached out and asked if I would review some of their other products. So there is another tripod that they make that is even more similar to some of the other tripods that you've seen, like Peak Design, with the modified tube structure. And that, I believe, is the LT38. So you might see a review for that one on the channel soon. But here's what I'll tell you. This thing is great. I love it. I think you should get one if you're in the market for a tripod. I love my Manfrotto. I'm shooting on it right now, and I'll show you a picture of these two side by side. But the Manfrotto is 4.5 pounds because it's an aluminum tripod, and it's starting to show its age. So down below, I'm gonna put a link to this tripod as well as the Neewer plate set. I bought it the 3-plate kit. I think it was like $20 or $30. It's very inexpensive to put plates on all of your gear that's compatible both with this as well as the Peak Design Capture Kit plate system version 3. Now those are affiliate links. That does benefit the channel when you purchase that. That helps me to make content for you like this. But I'm gonna add this tripod as well as a few others to my kind of beginner's essentials kit, which you'll be hearing me do a video about very soon as we get closer to the holiday season. Anyway, I'm gonna continue shooting here on the cliffs. I'm here in La Jolla, California doing photography because it's the busy season and I'm shooting families and babies and dogs and having a good time. And then trying to squeeze in some landscape photography both early in the morning and late in the afternoon. So if that's the kind of thing that you're into, I'd appreciate it if you hit the subscribe button. And if you thought that this video was informative or helpful, I'd appreciate it if you hit the like button. Social media links are gonna be all down below, as well as links to this and the rest of my gear. Thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.